Hi, my name is Casey Catronio. I'm a resident of Casey Catronio, sir.
Okay.
I'm a resident of Visalia. I work for STC Security, private security company based out of Fresno. I'm an employee who runs a team of about 16 officers at Chukchansi. I am also one of the officers that was held at gunpoint by 4 individuals. When these individuals rolled up on us, they had patches on their shirt that said police. They never identified themselves as police. They did not have badges saying they're police. They did not have patches that said they're police. My father is a retired CHP officer of 29 years, retired deputy sheriff of Mendocino County of 10 years. I grew up in a law enforcement family. My mother's a retired CHP dispatcher. My stepmom was a retired CHP officer of 21 years. In all my time I've ever dealt with law enforcement, and that's been from the day I was born on up, I've never seen anything like this before. Getting out of a vehicle, pointing a weapon at my head, telling me to surrender. When I refused to surrender, and a second man pointing a gun at my head with a finger on the trigger, telling me he's going to shoot me. And yet, when I still didn't surrender, pointing it at one of my staff's heads and said, and excuse my language, and I'll try to cut it out, drop your taser or I will effing shoot him in the head. What kind of law enforcement is this supposed to be? I was illegally detained for an hour and 45 minutes. I watched as they brutally tried to shove my officers' heads into the concrete wall. I watched as they attacked my boss. I watched as they viciously took off a gun belt off one of my officers. I watched as they grabbed me, held me by my handcuffs, jerked my wrists up so that way I could not resist, and tried to take off my own duty belt, even though I was unarmed. I was repeatedly accosted, told that if I did not obey, I would be shot, I would be beaten. I had 6 officers who were actively on duty that night. One of them managed to get away, and for the love of God, it was my brother-in-law. Excuse me. He managed to get away. I had watched as each one of my officers brought in one at a time. One at a time. Watching as they're being dragged in by handcuffs. I had a female officer, 5'5", 120 pounds, who was slammed to the ground by 5 individuals because she tried to run because they did not identify themselves, and all they came is they came around the corner with weapons brandished, but yet nothing's been done. I'd like to say this is the first time something like this has happened, but it's not. Earlier in the month of October, we had an incident at the Chukchansi grounds, including the government compound and the Butler building. The MSO, Sheriff's Department came in and re-granted the Butler building, saying it was now property of the casino, and they recognized it, and they asked us to move a vehicle. It was a fire truck. When we were trying to move this fire truck, I was under fire. They fired non-lethal projectiles at me, pepper balls, which is basically a pepperball round or paintball round loaded with ghost chili powder. One pepper round is designed to cover a 6 by 6 square foot area. I was under fire from this. Not only was I under fire, I had 6 MSO deputies right next to me when we were shot at. They automatically responded by drawing their weapons. And then yet I got told, oh, somebody just threw a rock at you. I'm sorry, I've done security for 13 years. I'm a former response officer. I've been deployed to Katrina. I was in Hurricane Katrina in Louisiana for a year and a half. I have taken all kinds of manners of fire. I understand the difference between somebody throwing a rock at me and somebody shooting a projectile at me. Yet we were promised that they'd be investigated and this would be looked into. We can't even find a case number on it. And that was by the lead investigator. I've been interviewed 3 times now regarding what happened at Chukchansi, and yet still have not seen any justice come to me or my staff. I now live in fear at home because these guys have my personal address, my personal phone number, and they have no problem calling me using Google Voice with alternative numbers saying, we know where you live. We will be paying you a visit. I have a wife who is an ER nurse who works at the hospital. I have to be terrified now every day for my wife, of them going after my wife, and she's a public servant for the hospital, making sure people stay alive. I'm afraid to go in Fresno because I'm afraid that somebody like Fresno Private Security or the tribal police and tribal security who are now been laid off or quote are now allowed to the compound, and now they have all these time in the world to come mess with us. They've come after our vehicles. They've come after me on the phone. I'm terrified, and yet nothing's being done. And I'd like you guys to please stop and think about this for a moment. And ask Anderson, why nothing has been done? Why, when I talk to his sheriffs, when I talk to his sergeants, when I talk to his lieutenants, they are pissed, but yet no charges have been filed yet. I understand this is the end of his tenure, and he's about to retire, and I'm sure he's looking past the buck, and I don't blame him. I would too in this scenario. This is a very big headache. And I understand you guys got a lot on your plate. But this happens now, and nothing's get done about it. Who says this is going to happen later? You've just given an open basket saying, hey, go ahead and hit this place. Because now if you can go against a security team just to take over documents, now also eviction notices, who's to say that anyone will take the same team and try to hit the cash gauge?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.